Thank you very much, Aaron. And now it is a real honor to introduce our keynote speaker for this evening, Chris Lamb. Chris is President and CEO and owner of Pucci Foods. The privately held company, formerly known as Joe Pucci and Son Seafoods, employs nearly 100 employees and has been based in the San Francisco Bay Area since 1918. Mr. Lamb is also the managing partner of Alexander Group, which he set up as a real estate holding company. Prior to purchasing his company, he worked as a project manager for an importing company where he oversaw human resources, management information systems, and marketing. In 2006, Mr. Lamb was awarded the Outstanding 50 Asian Americans in Business Award by the Asian American Business Development Center in New York. He was also selected by the East Bay Business Times as one of 40 under 40 business leaders in the East Bay in 2003. Mr. Lamb is on the board of California Fisheries and Seafood Institutes and on the advisory board of Cal State University East Bay. He also serves as the Economic Development Commissioner for the City of Hayward. Previously, he was on the boards for the Hayward Chamber of Commerce and Eden Hospital Foundation, as well as the advisory board for Cal State San Francisco. Mr. Lamb is one of our own. He received a BS in Business Administration and a BA in Economics from the University of California, Riverside in 1991. Afterwards, he attended Cal State San Bernardino for his MBA program. He was the first person in his family to have received a college education. He was born in Vietnam during the Vietnam War. In 1980, he escaped out of the country on a small fishing boat with one of his older brothers at the age of 12. Later that year, he came to the United States and settled in San Diego. Ladies and gentlemen, Chris Lamb.
Thank you, Dean Stewart, for your kind words. I'm from Bay Area. Actually, I grew up in San Diego, but I think I brought my weather from San Francisco Bay, am I not? There we go. I remember when I graduated, you remember the heat of Riverside is killing. So today, you have a pleasant air conditioning room, okay? Good evening, Chancellor White, Dean Stewart, members of the faculty, distinguished guests, parents, friends, and the graduating class of 2010. It is an honor for me to participate in this special occasion at the School of Business Administration at UC Riverside, from which I graduated nearly 20 years ago. When I was asked to give a speech, I was wondering, what am I going to give a speech about? I'm just like anyone else, one of many who escaped out of Vietnam or any war-torn country to find a new home in the United States. I was born toward the middle, or actually toward the end of the Vietnam War, but old enough to remember the cruelty of what I saw. For instance, in the middle of the night, my dad would instruct us to jump into a basement because there were gunshots or a bomb might be dropping from the sky. At that time, I had a brother, an oldest brother, who was in South Vietnamese Army. When I was 6, we assigned to a post near our home, but that did not keep him safe. One night, his post was shelled. He and his buddies paid the ultimate price with their lives. So, as a young kid, I vividly remember my father brought his body home. My oldest brother, hand was still up in the air, as though he was trying to hold off objects that fallen on his face. I was too young, but I can see that part of my dad died with my oldest brother that day. even though he had 10 other kids. Big family is common, or was common in the countryside. And here I am, I have 3 kids and maybe couldn't handle them. I was wondering if he's better off dying before the war was over, because a year after that, the communists took over the South and sent many people to re-education camp, which most of us know as jail. Feeling oppressed, many people, even hundreds of thousands, even millions, left Vietnam. So in 1980, at the age of 12, my brother, the third oldest brother, was 21. We were on a fishing boat with 52 strangers. Not until we get out into the sea, we realized that the boat was a dinghy, 30 feet long by 5 feet wide, carrying 54 people. Had 1 engine, no spare part, and it was leaking. And people were using rags so that they can stop the leaking. But one of the most important things that we had was a compass. I remember my brother told me, we're heading to Thailand, and that's the direction we're heading. The boat and the engine broke down often. We were floating at the mercy of the wind and the waves. But once the engine was running again, we knew where we were heading because of the compass. After 4 days and 3 nights at sea and nearly captured by pirates, we were able to reach Thailand. And there they put us in a cow barn, and we survived with rice and maggot-infested fish. We stayed there another 3 months before we were transferred to a crowded refugee camp enclosed by barbed wires, but it had an open beach. So we had a jail with an open beach. Fortunately, my second oldest brother, who came to the United States 2 years earlier, his name is Tan, he sponsored us over. My third brother and I didn't speak a word of English, but he has arranged for us to stay with an American family, the Zycheks, who have taken it in as though we were their own, and they're sitting here today. So knowing that I was behind, and in order to catch up, I usually woke up at 4 o'clock in the morning to study and read my book out loud so I can practice my pronunciation rather than the Asian, as you know, accent, as most people know. And throughout junior high and high school, I had a part-time job to help to pay for some expenses. When I came to UCR, I had a part-time job and a little bit of grants, so I took as many courses as I could because I wanted to get my money worth. So in 4 years, I graduated with 2 degrees, business administration and economics. When I graduated, the economy was almost as bad as it is today. So you guys here, you have a head start on me. I had a job, a sales job for retailers, but I see no future in that, so I went back and get my MBA. While I was getting my MBA, I had a full-time job working for a Fortune 500 company as a data management trainer. At that time, I had a full-time job and full-time schooling. I had 4 hours sleep each night. Was very tired every day, but I kept telling myself that one of these days, all these sacrifices would be paying off. Well, I didn't tell you, I also had a girlfriend, but that didn't affect my time. Here I am, 17 years later, I still have 4 hours sleep each night. But I keep telling myself that all the debts that I incur for my businesses will one day be paid off. That is capitalism. Nothing motivates you like debts. And my CPA told me the same. I said, Jack, I don't want to take any more debts. And he turned to me and said, look, take more debts because that would drive you. Nothing else does. So capitalists won't have it any other way. And you all will be a capitalist one way or the other. If that's so, then either you're in the wrong commencement or you just wasted the last 4 or 5 years of your life. Just don't tell your parents that you spend their money on the wrong degree. So before I went to college, my dream was to own a business and to make a difference in people's life. So my chance came in 1993 when I accepted a position for a small importing company in the Bay Area. The reason why I wanted to work for a small company is because I wanted to learn every aspect of the business, from inventory to equipment to managing the whole operations. And after 3 years of that, I had my chance. I was promoted vice president and general manager of a subsidiary company that I bought 3 years prior, at the old ripe age of 27. So that job did not come without challenges. The company was established in 1918, my Italian company, so that's where the word Pucci come from, and I look Italian, don't I? So I'm going to be managing people that older than me, as old as my dad or even my father, grandfather. And they've been in the business for longer than I've been alive. So they're not going to listen to this 27-year-old kid. So I have to earn their respect. How did I do that? Well, one thing I did was I woke up earlier than they did and be at work, and the last one to leave. And sure, soon enough, I knew more about inventory than the buyer. I knew more about the plant and operations than the plant manager. I knew more about expenses than the controller. And I even knew about customers, more about them than the salespeople. In order for me to speak their language, I have to know their job. So 3 years after that, I became president. And a year after that, I bought the company. The company was established to distribute seafood and food products to restaurants, hotel, and supermarket. And no, I did not send any maggot-infested fish to all those people. That was August 2001. And all of you remember what happened the next month, September 11, 2001, 9/11. I mortgaged my home so I can buy the business. I owed the bank more than I can think of. And here I am, the economy just went down the tube. So I had to sink or swim again, just like when I was on a boat. However, I was able to do that because I had dedicated employees, and we knew where we wanted to go. So as you young graduates, moving from one stage to the next, remember, the degree that you receive today is only as good as you are. Those of you who already know what you want to do with your life, the rest of them, you haven't got a clue. Those of you who haven't got a clue, remember, the sooner you do, the sooner you get to work on your endeavor, and the sooner you get there. Based on my observation and a year of experience, if I may suggest a few principles to live by. First of all, don't be afraid of hard work, because that will build your characters and build your foundations. And don't be afraid to take on new tasks, because that will enhance your skills. And also, you gotta think positive and got a positive attitude. Remember, your attitude determines your altitude. If you want to fly high, you gotta think and act positively. The power of positive thinking is stronger than you and I can comprehend. You have heard of successful people in the past, or even now, because they believed in themselves and they work hard on their dream. I've yet to hear of a successful pessimist. And fourth, always try to have a win-win for your life as well as for your businesses. Try to find solutions so that you and the other guy can benefit. You never know when you may be on the other side. And finally, but not necessarily last, is that don't ever be trapped in the entitlement mentality. In his inaugural speech, John F. Kennedy famously said, "Ask not what your country can do for you, ask what you can do for your country." America is great because its people are so benevolent. Many of those people make contribution to the community, to their nations, as well as the environment. We all should do the same. I came to this country on September 30th, 1980. And I consider myself an American who happened to have been born in another country. I may not look white, but I feel American as any American there are. So remember, no one owes you anything. You may be entitled to fairness, but you may not find it everywhere and from everyone. You may be entitled to opportunity, but opportunity, no one's going to hand that to you. You have to make your own, and that's where your determinations and hard work come in. You may be entitled to freedom, but freedom is never free. America is the land of the free and the home of the brave, but those who came before us has to make the sacrifices so that we can enjoy them today. The mothers and fathers of this country fought for independence. And there are later war has to be waged so that all Americans can have equal right regardless of their color, the gender, the age, political belief, or religion. Those of you who came from the land of the oppressions, the inequality, injustice, know well that freedom is not free. You, perhaps your whole family, risk everything including your life so that you can find freedom. Not every government is, as President Abraham Lincoln said, of the people, by the people, and for the people. So we all got to contribute our time and resources to ensure that those words will always hold true. And with that thought, I wish you a successful and memorable life journey. Thank you.